Wanna know what's funny? I was supposed to be late for these reviews, and yet I'm even later. I meant to do this way earlier, but whatever. I finally got to see all the 4 movies I wanted to catch up on. They include of Spider-Man Far From Home, Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and the Lion King remake. So, hi guys, I'm DPX. Welcome to my summer movie review catch-up, where I review movies that I missed for the 7 weeks I was gone, even though it's been 2 weeks since I came back. So, that's gotta say something. Before we get started though, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, and leave a comment, and you'll be a loyal subscriber.
7, 5. Number 4.
Look, I'm sure you've heard it all at this point, but the Lion King remake is not good. What makes it not good? I have 3 things, 2 of which you've definitely heard. Number 1, it's literally just a shot-for-shot remake. The movie lacks any sort of originality, which is also a problem with these Disney live-action remakes in general, but I feel it's most clear in this one. The only thing that is different is how it's live-action, or photorealistic, as it's not even really live-action. Which brings me into my next problem that I'm sure you've heard a lot at this point. Number 2, lack of character and emotion due to the photorealism. Look at Simba's face here. This face never changes in the entire movie. I get it's because of the photorealism, but none of the characters can emote at all because they're supposed to be so realistic. For example of showing no character or emotion, let's compare Mufasa's death scene from both the original animated one and the live-action one.
Scar! Brother, help me!
Long live the king.
Scar! Help me! Long live the king!
You see what I mean? Not to mention, the expression Simba has when in a normal conversation isn't too different to his expression when his father dies. That goes for every character who don't change at all. Also, just look at Scar in this movie. I get it's live action, but compare that to the original and he honestly doesn't look all that evil. The original, he looked much more menacing. And this, he just looks like a lion that was ran over by a car. Number 3, lack of flair. I've heard some people mention this, but not a whole lot. The amount of flair and effects that the original had are completely absent from this version of the movie. If you're still unsure what I mean, remember Be Afraid in the original? It had the clouds of green fog and quite the menacing look. Well, you're not gonna get that here, since it's all absent. All of the added flair and charm is removed for just an evil lion singing. How about probably the most important scene in The Lion King? The Remember Who You Are scene. The scene where Simba looks up to the clouds and his dead father gives him a bit of a pep talk and convinces him to go back home. You can actually see Mufasa in the clouds and makes the scene feel all the more important. Well, in the remake, Simba's just talking to a cloud. You don't see Mufasa at all. In the end, the Lion King remake is pretty much the Lion King, but one that lacks originality, character, and flair. I would like to say that despite the realistic and therefore emotionless characters, the movie is visually appealing, And the cast is pretty good. Seth Rogen just can't sing, though. In conclusion, though, I probably shouldn't have expected that much from a Disney live-action remake of The Lion King, but this might be the most frustrating movie I've seen all year. The Lion King 2019 gets a 5.5 out of 10. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is, in 3 words, a Tarantino film. I know that sounds cliche, but Tarantino has such a style that is so pronounced that Tarantino's films are practically their own franchise. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might be one of Quentin Tarantino's best films to date. First, I fail to mention the amazing cast. This movie is carried by amazing performances from the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and Al Pacino, amongst others. In typical Tarantino fashion, there was violence. Oh boy, was there violence. But not as much as you might think. It really only got violent at some part in the middle and at the climax, but when it was violent, boy was it violent. The plot is about a washed-out TV star and his stunt double struggling to find work. However, they also become involved with the Manson family, and the movie includes the infamous murder of actress Sharon Tate. I think it tackles this story very well. Some issues I have with this movie, though, include some of the guff, or in other words, filler that is present. There is just a bunch of awkward still shots of people's faces without them saying or doing anything, which I found to be really weird. That and the pacing issues bring it down just a bit. However, in conclusion, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a masterful portrayal of one of the most iconic time periods in American history, in one of the most iconic settings in American history. Some of the filler and pacing issues drag the movie down, but the performances and the unique concept and great execution of said concept make Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a movie worth seeing. If you're into that kind of stuff, this movie's not for everyone. In the end, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood gets an 8 out of 10.
What kind of pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
How are we getting a Rocko's Modern Life reboot? The show was good, sure, but I wouldn't call it one of Nickelodeon's best. Okay, maybe if you compare it to what they got now, but Rocko's Modern Life is probably one of the least talked about ones. But after seeing Rocko's Modern Life Static Cling, the Netflix movie, I'm pretty damn excited if there's gonna be a new show. Again, this might just be a movie. Sure, you might not want to call this a movie, as it's only 45 minutes long, and it's more meant to start a show, like a TV pilot maybe. However, it stands on its own as a movie, and Netflix says it's a movie. So, yeah. And it also came out when I was gone, so that's why it's in this video. In case you don't know, the original Rocko's Modern Life show was about Rocko, showing how it was like living in the 90s. That concept makes the show sound very dated, and Static Cling is actually well aware of that. And, so it puts its own twist on it, as the movie takes place 20 years after the show ended with Rocko and his friends blasting off into space. The plot is Rocko's favorite show, The Fatheads, had concluded years ago. Rocko didn't know that because, well, he's stuck in space for 20 years, and he doesn't take this news lightly. He then later insists that he needs a return of the Fatheads, and tries to get Ed Bighead to find his son, Ralph Bighead, who created the show, before leaving to do some soul searching. All this has to do with change and delivers a strong message that change is gonna happen and you just have to accept it. As an example of this, towards the end, They finally get a Fathead special back, but Rocco's not happy with it because it's different. Not to mention, there is quite the twist in this. And spoilers, if you don't want to know, Rocco and his friends, Filbert and Heifer, find Ralph Bighead, but he is now a trans named Rachel, and is finally happy with herself. This is also where another message about change is made. Ed Bighead has trouble accepting the fact that his son is now his daughter, but later learns to accept it. In conclusion, Rocco's Modern Life Static Cling is definitely something worth spending 45 minutes of your life on. It tackles messages about change and being trans really well. Think about that for a sec. A 90s cartoon tackling trans. I honestly think both fans of the series and newcomers alike will enjoy this movie. In the end, Rocco's Modern Life Static Cling gets a 9 out of 10.
I'm Luigi, number one.
Let's just ignore the whole Disney and Sony debacle for a little bit. Spider-Man Far From Home might be my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. Far From Home takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame and 5+ years after the first MCU Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm sure you know this, but Peter Parker is going on vacation to France and just wants that. A vacation to France. So when he gets yelled at for not answering Nick Fury's calls, or when Aunt May packs his suit saying he forgot it, even though he obviously didn't, you really feel for Peter Parker, especially after going through the events of Infinity War and Endgame. Not only that, we gotta talk Mysterio. Oh, let me tell you, they nailed Mysterio. Mysterio is basically everything I've ever wanted from a Marvel villain. And his exposition scene might just say it all. One of my favorite parts of the movie. Other scenes, like where Peter has a breakdown on the ship with Happy, really made for a powerful scene too, and more scenes beyond that. And we have to talk about the after credit scenes. Both of them, in fact. The first one is jaw-dropping. It's got J. Jonah Jameson for one, and it also has Mysterio doing the unthinkable, revealing Spider-Man's secret identity. This, before the split, put many things into question, like how can Spider-Man continue? And the second after credits scene, I don't think was as crazy, but still, the scrolls and the new ship is pretty cool. In conclusion, Spider-Man Far From Home is a great Spider-Man movie. I couldn't touch on everything, but I mentioned the most important stuff. But I must also mention that the tone can be a bit off at times. Other than that though, in the end, Spider-Man Far From Home gets a 9.5 out of 10. So that was my summer movie review catch-up. Now that I'm finally all caught up with my reviews, I can finally review freely. Luckily, there's nothing that came out after I came back that I had to wait on reviewing. I haven't seen anything that come out after I come back, you know. And I don't plan on it up until, next month, September. You know, I'll be getting some more reviews out for the rest of the year for stuff that come out for the rest of the year. Until then, guys, if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Tell me what you think about all 4 of these movies down below. If you've seen any of them, what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with the verdict I gave them? I was pretty harsh on The Lion King, but pretty positive with everything else. Yeah, if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.